Hello and welcome to a new video. I thought I would do a little TBR video, if you will, as we near the end of the year. There are still a lot of books I want to read, a lot of books I need to read, because I am so behind on my Goodreads goal. I was caught up for like 5 seconds. So here is a couple of books off my shelves and off of my Kindle / library that I would like to be my TBR for the end of the year as I try to reach my Goodreads goal. So let's go ahead and get into the list. We'll start with my paperback books. Here is A Lady's Formula for Love by Elizabeth Everett. Now, to be honest, is this the first one? I think. I'm not remembering entirely, but I just feel like I should try and read at least one more historical romance before the year is out, because I recently read Midnight Mayhem, or it had the word midnight in it, I don't remember, but it was a historical romance, and I haven't read hardly any historical romances this year, and I just really enjoyed getting to return to that sort of world. And this one has some of my favorite tropes, and it is blurbed by Joanna Shupe, my favorite historical romance author, and this one has some tropes that I really love. So we've got a blue stocking lady, which is the trope for a very intellectual woman in a historical romance, so someone who is really into studying and all sorts of things like that, whereas that's not as super accepted in that time period. So this one is about Lady Violet Hughes. She has created a club for England's most brilliant female scientists, and I guess she's working on a secret mission for the crown. And that is how she meets Arthur Neeland, who is an officer of the crown. So this has so many of my favorite tropes. I know that I will enjoy it, so I definitely want to pick it up soon. I don't know when, but it's definitely one at the top of my list. Next, now I honestly don't know if I will get to this before the end of the year because it is such a long book, but I recently bought The Winter King by C.L. Wilson, and I just feel like I need to read it in the winter because it's called The Winter King and it just looks like such a fun book. This is one I have heard about for years and years and years. Oh, there's my little photos in there. And this is a fantasy romance. It just is also 600 pages long. So this is like I said, a fantasy romance about winter and Casman. I don't know if that's how you say her name, but I just know that it's a really lush fantasy world. I actually don't know a lot about the plot. I've just heard about this one as a really a standout in fantasy romances in historical setting. It's just one of the biggest ones out there that I know of, so I thought I would maybe finally get around to being a part of this world because I know it's just one of the most popular books out there, and I've heard it, despite being such a long book, it's one that's so immersive that maybe it doesn't feel so long, but we shall see if I am brave enough to pick it up before the end of the year. I feel like you just keep seeing my dogs wandering back and forth in the background. You think they'd be asleep considering the time, but I guess not. Next, I have Get a Life, Chloe Brown by Talia Hibbert. This is actually a reread. I have read this before, but I have been thinking about rereading this for months, probably all year. I have just been really wanting to reread it. So I figure what's a better time to reread a book than when I'm trying to make my Goodreads goals. So I'm very much looking forward to picking this up. This is a book with chronically ill representation, which is something that I do not get to read as often as I would like because I just am not finding books with that representation as often as I'd like. If I remember correctly, she has fibromyalgia, but don't quote me on that. It's literally been so long since I've read this book. When I read it again, I feel like it will low-key be reading it for the first time. I'm not gonna remember the plot, but I know that she has a list of things that she wants to do, not she calls it her Get a Life list, so it's not a bucket list, but she just wants to do some things, get out there. So and I feel like he works, oh, he's a handyman. Yeah, so he works at her apartment, if I remember correctly. He helps her with the list, so very much want to get into reading this one. Next, another romance that actually came out almost a year ago now. That is Beg, Borrow, or Steal by Sarah Adams. This was one of my most anticipated reads of 2025, and I haven't read it yet, and 2025 is almost over. I don't think I pre-ordered it, but like I bought this fairly early on in the year. I love Sarah Adams. I've read almost every single one of her books, and the new one comes out, I think, in like a couple of weeks from when I'm filming this, so I need to catch up on this series because I love this series. The second one is probably my favorite, but I'm very much still looking forward to this one and the fourth one. I think it's going to be fun. This is a small town romance. This one, I believe they're like rivals to lovers, and I believe they're both teachers, if I remember correctly. Or maybe teachers is the next one? No, Flower Shop is the next one. Yeah, school's principal. These are the teachers. So it's a small town, a brother and three sisters, and each of their stories. In the first one, we have a huge pop star who ends up coming into town on accident, and she falls in love with the brother. And then the second one is the bodyguard and one of the sisters, and this is the next sister and one of her fellow teachers. So very much looking forward to reading this. I would really, really love to read it in 25, considering it was one of my most anticipated 2025 reads. I would hope that I finish it in 2025. Next, this is another one that I have been talking about reading for a long time. That is Assistant to the Villain by Hannah Nicole Mayer. I believe the next one in this series was just announced, if I'm not mistaken, so this would be another perfect time to get into reading this one. It sounds really good. It sounds really fun. It sounds like a fantasy book that's not too heavy on the fantasy, so like that tends to be what I have been leaning towards in the last couple of years, honestly, but I a lot of the times just don't have the focus for like full fantasy books. I use so much mental capacity at work that by the time like I'm wanting to read, I want something a little less heavy on having to like learn the world and all of that. So I think this one, it's not an urban fantasy, but I've heard that it maybe kind of reads like one. It's not a super lush world, but I don't mean that in like a mean way. At least, and I haven't read it, so maybe I could be wrong about all of this, but that is just what I've heard in reviews. And it just sounds like a fun, like witty type of book. So Evie is really needs a job, and so she takes a job as an assistant to the villain, and I think it'll be a really fun like slow burn romance and just a fantasy world that has a little bit more grounding maybe in reality and able to connect to the other like magical aspects of the world. So I'm very excited to give this one a try. Next, I would like to finish out the series I've been reading this year. Not finished, I think she's still writing, but Picture Perfect by Tessa Bailey. I think I'm just noticing that it's called Picture Perfect and not Pitch Perfect. So that's funny for me, but this is a beautiful copy. This is the next book in Tessa Bailey's series, like her sports romance series. I have read all the other ones this year and I have loved them. I think I liked a Dream Girl drama the best, but I honestly don't know. I liked all of them. The nanny one I didn't like as much. Actually, no, the first one is my favorite, which I'm not remembering. Fangirl Down. That one is my favorite in the series. But I also really love Dream Girl drama. They're all good. I liked the hockey players better than I liked the golf player, but I liked the characters in the first one better. This one is a hockey and softball. I think she plays softball. Baseball, softball, what's the difference? I don't know. But they're both on sports teams, and she is the sister of one of his teammates, I believe. I could be wrong about that. She's the sister, yeah, brother's best friend. So they meet briefly in one of the other books, and they don't get along. And this is a continuation of that, where they will probably not get along until they do. And I believe that they're going to have like kind of a fake dating situation. To what end? I don't remember. Oh, I think it's like a fake dating and lessons type of story. Either way, I'm so excited. I love all of Tessa Bailey's books, so I am excited to jump into this one. Next, I have Good Spirits by B.K. Borison. This I bought because of the cover. I mean, look at the cover. It's so beautiful, and look at the sprayed edges too. I think this sounds like a really fun read. This is one I think I feel like it's been out for a while, actually. I could be wrong. Maybe I've just been seeing... Well, it says 2025, so I guess it's a lot newer than I thought. Maybe I just recognize the author's name. Ooh, look at the in papers too. How pretty is that? Anyway, this sounds like such an interesting concept. This, the kind of tagline is fall in love with the ghost of Christmas past in the magical romance. So he's the ghost of Christmas past, and she's not, it says she's not exactly Scrooge. So he's assigned to haunt her and take her through her, you know, a Christmas Carol situation, but they're not really sure why, because it doesn't seem like she has a lesson to learn. She's not Scrooge. And so they kind of get to know each other through that experience and fall in love, I guess. It's such a unique concept. Like, I'm so interested to see how it turns out. Like, I genuinely do not know what to expect. So I'm very excited to read this. I think this is going to be my my like book club book for December because it is Christmassy and fun. So those are the physical books I have on my list, and then I have just a couple on my like Kindle and library app. So a very high priority is I want to finish the Game Changer series by Rachel Reed. So what I have left now is Tough Guy, Common Goal, and Role Model, which are these 3 books. This is a series that I started reading last month, I believe, and I absolutely adore these books. They are just so good. They're hockey romance series, and the first one is like the star of one of the hockey teams and a guy he meets at a smoothie shop, and they just have the sweetest, most adorable relationship. The second one, Chef's Kiss, Heated Rivalry, which is being made into a show, and I cannot wait. That one is like rivals on different teams that like the public and publicity and media have just like built up this like big rivalry between them, but in secret for like literally 10 years they have been a thing, and I loved it. The emotional like thorough line and slowly, if you want a slow burn, like the physical part of their relationship is not a slow burn, don't get me wrong, but the emotional part of their relationship, 10 years, like absolutely gorgeous. Loved that book. So the ones I have left are Tough Guy, which I guess is, I don't know, there's one of the hockey players who I think we did meet in the second one. He's a very quiet, kind of odd, anxious guy, and then there's some other guy with a violin. Don't know anything about his character yet. And then I actually don't know what Common Goal is about, but I'm here for it. And then I think it's an age gap, if I remember correctly. And then Role Model goes back to our characters from Heated Rivalry, so I am so excited. Yeah, I definitely want to finish that series. The other series that I am working on, I've been reading these Sherlock Holmes books, the Lady Sherlock series. These are the ones I believe I have left. I have Murder on Cold Street, Miss Moriarty, I presume, A Tempest at Sea, and A Ruse of Shadows. I think that's all of them. I'm currently reading number 4, so 5, 6, 7, 8. There might be a 9th one somewhere in here, but in general I would like to continue reading this series. I don't know if I'll finish it, but I definitely want to work towards finishing it. I've been loving this series. I love a Sherlock Holmes retelling deeply. I just think they're so much fun, and I cannot wait to keep reading this series. There were developments in the romance relationship in book 3. I don't think we're going to get much happening in book 4, but I'm very interested to see where the story goes from there. So very excited to keep reading. Another hockey romance that I have on my list that I've owned on my Kindle for quite a while is Pucked by Helena Hunting. I don't think, if I'm remembering right, I don't think I've ever read a Helena Hunting book, even though she's such a popular author, and this is actually quite an old book. This is from 2015, but it's a standalone brothers teammate hockey romance, and so I you know, I love a hockey romance, so I'd love to read another one. Last, another book I have, two books I have. I have this Presidential Bargain and Capital Promises by Rebecca Gallo. I've had this on my TBR for so long. I have the paper copies and I have it on Kindle. I just think a nice, fun, you know, kind of alternate universe type of romance like that would be a lot of fun to read. It's like he's the president or running for president, and he needs like a fake wife to make himself look better. So I think that would be a really fun read. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed my video. That is my list of books I want to try and get to before the end of the year, so we'll see if I actually do it. But I hope you enjoyed the video. Like, share, subscribe, all that fun stuff, and I'll talk to you guys next time. Bye!